6-second moving AoE cripple, two different sets of abilities, and a protection shredder passive. Hello hobos and obelisk, today we'll be talking about Artio, Celtic Bear Goddess. I'll be breaking down her ability kit to its entirety, all the bits, tricks, and things that make her tick. Artio is a part of the Guardian class in Smite, so she deals magical damage. And being a part of that class, giving her passive crowd control reduction, maxing out at 20% crowd control reduction at 20th level. Artio is typically played within the support role, building protection items and cooldown reduction to spam her abilities as much as she can.
Do not seek the praise of others, rather strive to be your best self.
Artio's passive is called Decompose. Each time Artio damages an enemy god with one of her abilities, their protections are reduced. With a max stack count of 4, with a single cast of her third ability, it stacks this ability to max stacks, as her third ability can proc 5 different times on an enemy.
Overload!
Now onto Artio's first ability, which is called Energy Surge or Maul Prey. Starting in Druid stance, Energy Surge, Artio uses her staff to send a burst of energy in front of her in a cone. This ability deals damage and heals her close teammates if you hit an enemy, dealing a max damage of 210 base damage plus 35% of your magical power to a single enemy, and a max possible heal given each teammate is somewhat close to you, does 500 healing to your team as a whole. Then, in Bear Stance, Maul Prey, Artio takes large sweeping swipes in front of her in a cone, just doing damage, with a max total damage of 320 base damage, plus 60% of your magical power to a single enemy. Using this ability as often as you can is a good idea, as it has a pretty low mana cost, so it is easy just to spam, as well as a low cooldown. It has the lowest cooldown on her entire kit, so it is the easiest to spam whenever you need it.
Stay a while, won't you?
Artio's second ability is called Entangling Vines, or Ferocious Roar. Starting in Druid stance, Entangling Vines, Artio summons vines to surround the ground around her, crippling any enemy god within the area while also reducing their power by a percentage. Crippling enemies around her for a max of 6 seconds and a max power debuff of 15% decreased power. Alas, however, this ability does no damage, neither does her Bear Stance ability, which, in Bear Stance, Ferocious Roar, Artio makes a large roar, making enemies around so shocked by the mighty roar, they become stunned, and Artio buffs herself, giving herself extra protections after roaring, stunning enemies around her for a max of almost 1.5 seconds, while also giving her max protection buff of 35 physical and magical protections. Both of these abilities are nice to use after all of your other damaging abilities, as a transitionary ability to either switch stance or wait for your damaging abilities to come out, while also preventing your enemies from running away.
Time to part with your life force!
Artio's third ability is called Life Tap or Heavy Charge. Starting in Druid stance, Life Tap, Artio channels a mystic energy, draining life from her enemies that are hit by this ability, damaging them while healing yourself, and also applying a slow. If an enemy is hit by all 5 ticks of this ability, by the end of the ability they are rooted for 1 second. The total damage of Mystic Energy does 275 base damage plus 50% of your magical power, and healing a max total of 110 HP, also providing a 10% slow throughout the ability cast. Bear Stance, Heavy Charge, Artio charges forward, speeding up her movement by 300% as she charges forward, doing damage to anybody she runs through, as well as applying a slow. The max damage does 255 base damage plus 50% of your magical power. and provides a 30% slow. Like when I talked about her passive. This ability in Druid Stance procs 5 different times, so if you lead your encounter with that ability, you will already have my max stacks doing damage with the rest of her kit. Another nice thing to know about Artio's dash is in her bear stance is anytime during that ability, you can right click the ability to cancel it, allowing you to slow your enemies and damage them, but not just completely run past them and out of range if you don't want to.
Grrr.
Artio's fourth and final ability is her ultimate. It is called Shapeshift, and it is very different from all or most other ultimates, as it isn't a big ability that does massive damage with a long cooldown. Artio's ultimate allows her to switch from Bear and Druid Stance whenever you want. It starts as an ability that you can cast even without having any points put into it, but it does still provide benefit to level this ability, as it still provides minor buffs to assist you applying Artio, providing a stacking buff that stacks up to 8 times each time you hit someone with any ability. It doesn't have to be damage, but you can only gain 1 stack from any single one of her abilities. That was Artio's entire kit, so now I will get into some useful tips to help you excel at Artio, as well as how you should be playing her in general to maximize your usefulness.
I thank you for your generous donations.
Building Artio. She plays like an ability-based run-it-down tank, so you want to build as much protections and ability cooldowns so you can rotate through all 6 of your main abilities quicker, doing more damage and providing utility just by having those abilities ready more often. A good build this patch is to start out with Sentinel's Gift, Glowing Emerald, and Bountiful Bow. Then in order, build Gauntlet of Thebes, Breastplate of Valor, Breastplate of Determination, Gladiator Shield, Genji's Guard, and Stone of Binding. When you hit level 15, upgrade your starter to Sentinel's Embrace. As for your relics, you'll want Sundering Spear and Blink Rune. This build gives you 40% cooldown reduction and a lot of protections, allowing you to be tanky and spam your abilities as much as possible.
They will feel my strength.
Artio's strongest point throughout the game is late to mid-game, as teamfights begin to happen and people start to group up, so your abilities can get a lot of easy damage off, as your ability, all of them are cones, or can hit multiple people throughout the course of a team fight, doing a lot of damage just within your own kit. And later into the game, you'll have enough mana sustain as to where you won't run out of mana spamming your abilities.
Everything will be alright once the pain has gone away.
Artio during laning phase is typically played within the support role, making her start on long lane green camp, doing basic jungle clear with your ADC, starting out with your first ability, Energy Surge / Maul Prey, killing the starting camps of chest, green, and purple camp, and then rotating to long lane / dual lane, trying to pressure out the enemy team from the lane by out clearing using both versions of your 1 to clear wave, so you and your ADC can clear without any issue. Artio's main goal in the laning phase is to try to push out the enemy ADC as much as possible, and pushing the enemy laners into an uncomfortable position where they can't even contest you, as they'd have to contest you and the wave together.
So much power to be taken.
Artio has a lot of chase down abilities, and during a team fight, you want to do just that. You want to find that person that wants to jump on your back line, and before they can get the chance to jump on them, you jump on them, doing damage and stopping them from allowing them to do what they want, spamming all your abilities and rotating through all of them, just making sure all of them are on cooldown at all times.
The predator becomes the prey.
Because of how power scales with magical autos, your auto attacks aren't damaging, as magical characters scale by 20% of their magical power to their auto attacks. To explain what an auto attack cancel is, when auto attacking, there are specific phases to an auto attack. Auto attack canceling is the action of casting an ability right after the action phase of the auto attack. Artio's auto attack has a long action phase where the damage comes out from the character, and a short recovery phase to prepare for the next auto. Due to this, as well as the attack penalty of 35% movement speed reduction while auto-attacking, it is not worth to even attempt doing, as you'll be slowed down for so long that the minimum damage you'll get is better to just get your abilities off and then on cooldown and then juke until they come off of cooldown, rather than trying to auto-attack at all.
I am the top of the food chain!
Playing Artio, you want to level your main clear ability first, as you want to farm the best you can. And your first ability will help you do that the best. It does the most damage and has the lowest cooldown. After that, once you get to lane and hit level 2, getting your third ability, Life Tap Heavy Charge, so you can start CCing the enemy, running them down, pressuring them out of lane. And level 3, I like to put 2 points into her 1 just for even more damage on a low cooldown. At level 5, instead putting point into her ultimate, I just continue to level her first ability, proceeding to level her main damaging ability, Energy Surge / Mole Prey, to get as much damage out onto the battlefield as you can. Then your second ability, Entangling Vines, Ferocious Roar, for the cripple and the stun. And then her third ability, Life Tap, Heavy Charge, and finally leveling her ultimate ability last.
Energy is not simply created, it is transferred, and I will take yours.
So to look what a full rotation of what your abilities could look like is this. Artio has a few ways to play. Starting off, we'll do a basic rotation of your abilities, starting off in Druid stance. You want a 2, 3, running up to your enemies, and then hit them with your 1. Then you want a 4, transform, 2 to stun them and move in front of them, and then you want a 1, and then 3, and you can fully just maximize the 3 and just dash all the way away from the enemy. Then a bear blink engage, so you want to start off in bear form. You want to blink in, and then 2 and stun them, hitting them with your 1, and then your 3, cancel the 3 after hitting them, transform with your 4, then 2, 3, and then 1.
Winning or losing doesn't matter. We all shall return to nature in the end.
Artio is one of the easiest Guardian pressure gods there is, but still provides a lot to learn, and if you choose to guard the passing of the seasons, I wish you luck balancing the cycles of nature and time, so you may take your rightful place among the gods and become the best god you can be.